The election is being rigged by corrupt media pushing false allegations and outright lies in an effort to elect Hillary Clinton president. The process is rigged. It's a rigged election. It's a rigged system. And they take these lies and they put them on front pages.
Now, forget that he's saying it. You would think that people in his own party, with the election, as I said, now less than 3 weeks from now, that they would stay silent on it, let alone some would say he's right in a certain degree, et cetera, kind of like Mike Pence, frankly, has been doing. But that's not the case. More and more Republicans are coming out to say not only is what Trump said wrong, it's also dangerous. Here's just two of Trump's former opponents. John Kasich, the first one.
This election's not being rigged. And I'm explaining to you why it's not being rigged in Florida and why I hope he stops saying that. Why he should stop saying that. We have 67 counties in this state, each of which conduct their own elections. I promise you there is not a 67-county conspiracy to rig this election.
To say that elections are rigged and all these votes are stolen, that's like saying we never landed on the moon, frankly. That's how silly it is.
You gotta love it.
Both of them I couldn't agree more with, and they're spot on. And these were two men who were candidates to be the Republican nominee for president here, so it's not just a talking head here or some Democrat who's got an axe to grind here. Listen, forget I've heard this before, oh, voter fraud, rampant, and all the rest. He's saying rigged, and you can't have it both ways where he said, I'm just saying that the media is against me.
You're going to have some precincts where some precinct folks are going to insert some ballots. There's going to be some of that, candidly, for both parties, depending what state, city, rural, and so on. But it's minimal. But I'll tell you this, when I first ran for the state house in 1974, my mentor said, Chris, you may win, you may lose, but one of the most important things you have as a candidate, if you lose, you accept defeat and you wish your opponent well, because democracy demands it. It demands it.
And it's not just being a sore loser. I'm telling you, I've heard some people say, we played a clip earlier in the week where you had a guy at a Trump rally saying, you know what, I'm going to be a patriot. I'm going to do what I have to do if she's in the White House. The guy goes, what do you mean? You're talking about assassination? He goes, I'll have to consider it. And while these are stupid, stray lines and dangerous, albeit, he has poured accelerant on the fire of not just the crazies, but for the people to say the system's rigged here, it's all against us, let's get the tinfoil house, it's a giant conspiracy, and if we don't get our way, it's not our America anymore. That, to me, it's not just anchor talk hyperbole. That's dangerous stuff. Because November 9th, we all got to live in the same country.
I agree. And tip of the hat to my dear friend Chris Shays and other Republicans for calling out Trump on the lie that he keeps propagating that this election is rigged. All these elections are handled by states and counties. There is no grand conspiracy. There was a loyal...
Can you tell me, even if we wanted to rig it, even if people wanted to rig it, they couldn't. And that's what Rubio, to his credit, was saying. You have to get the local officials, the county officials, the state officials, and then there's 50 of them to all be in cahoots. 3 people can't keep a secret in this country. It's impossible.
The most recent study was done by a Loyola Law School professor who said that the evidence of in-person ballot fraud was 31 out of 1 billion ballots cast. 31 out of 1 billion. Now let me just say this. My first job as a young lawyer in the Democratic Party was to go to a polling station where there had been accusations of voter fraud by the Democrats. And I was there, we were fighting the machine in some New Jersey city, and we were the reformists. And I was there as a young lawyer trying to not get my head bashed in. So these things can happen, but everyone is on notice. That was back in the 1970s. It's a long time ago. Everyone's on notice, everyone's on guard. People have challengers, they've got observers, and no one wants there to be fraud. There will not be fraud in any numbers. Maybe there'll be a handful. Somebody said it's like your odds of getting hit by lightning.
Yeah, by the way, Steve was 6 years old when he was doing that in the 70s. Dom, we talk about this, but there's people who believe this stuff. And it's one thing if some guy on a radio station saying that he shouldn't do that. He's got the rabbit ears after the 12 people listening to him. But when a presidential candidate is saying that, where people are already voting, but I mean, just in the early voting, how can you say it's rigged if we haven't even had the election? There hasn't been any counting yet. It's just, again here, I hear people, and I expect everyone to laugh about it. People believe this stuff. Some people.
What if John McCain had said, the results are not real? Do you know what that would have did in terms of the first black president for the country?
How about Al Gore with George Bush?
That's right. Good point. What about Hillary Clinton, the first woman president? And so all Trump is doing, it's despicable when you think about it. He's just setting up the plot to jumpstart his TV network and to say, look, I'm a winner. I can't fire myself. I'm not fired because the returns were rigged.
Well, that's what it is. It's about the insecurity and the fear of not being the winner. But there's a second part to this that I thought was interesting from the Republican side as well. Marco Rubio, again, he's warning Republicans don't use any info released by WikiLeaks. The Florida senator is saying, quote, I will not discuss any issue that's become public solely on the basis of WikiLeaks. As our intelligence agencies have said, these leaks are an effort by a foreign government to interfere with our electoral process, and I will not indulge it. And Christie went further, which I thought was a really intelligent point to say, it's the Democrats today, it'll be us tomorrow.
Absolutely. But see, we've forgotten that. When the Republicans started to go, you can even go back further. When Kennedy decided he didn't want Bork and he decided to use the 60-vote rule to get judges, then the Republicans did it, then the Democrats did it, then the Republicans did it. And so both sides will do it. And so you just don't go down there. You don't go down. But I do think it's really significant. I never thought about it in the term you're saying. First woman president, not legitimate. Give me a break.
Yeah. We talked Russia a little bit before here. And again, I was surprised. I'm not surprised by anything, but he went out of his way to again praise and defend Putin. Forget saying that it's some 400-pound guy in the basement when the only intelligence report said it was Russia that was involved in the hacking. You have a theory about this.
I do. First, let's set the stage. Both Democrats and Republicans in the national intelligence expertise area, both of them say Russia has hacked John Podesta, the chief of staff or advisor to Hillary Clinton's emails, and is releasing them through WikiLeaks. You have Marco Rubio, Republican. You have Richard Burr, both of them senators, Burr from North Carolina, Rubio from Florida, saying, yes, Russia is hacking this stuff and releasing stuff only to damage Democrats, only to damage Hillary. So your question earlier was, why is Trump continuing to say, oh, Putin had nothing to do with it? And there's one of two answers only. Either Putin has something on Trump. People say that it's the oligarchs around Putin to whom Trump owes billions or hundreds of millions of dollars, or Trump doesn't want to upset Putin's continuing efforts against the Clintons by releasing these so-called emails, which our intelligence sources say can very well be changed. So what appears to be an email, the Russians can insert words, delete words, etc., to create the impression they want about the discussion
to be fair,
within the Clinton camp.
I haven't heard any denials from the Clinton camp. That's beside that point, though. Do you imagine if we ever found out that there was any coordination from the Kremlin or Assange and Trump?
I'm not saying this is coordination,
I know you're not saying
but
this,
turning
if there was.
away, turning a blind eye, and as you said, saying it didn't happen.
Now, what I want to do on the other side of the break is get into what is the end game here for Donald Trump. Obviously, he'd like to win in 3 weeks. But is it that simple, or is he looking at the next business opportunity and what that could mean about tearing the grand old party even further apart than it is right now? We'll talk about that after this.